Hi everyone, it's Sarah here from Spiritual Events and Directory. I'm just about to have a chat to Barry Nicolaou. Barry has been in the footwear industry since 2002. He started the successful online platform ShoeCircle in 2014 as the evolutionary step to wholesale buying activities. From this success, Barry has written his first book, which has shot to #1 in 6 countries on 16 categories. He's excited to begin his national seminar events derived directly from the book chapters to move us into our personal truth. The 11 master secrets are the 11 main blocks, stopping most of us to achieve what we want for ourselves. And let abundance in. Embrace these areas and nothing can stop you. Hey Barry, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you going?
Good, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Really good. Really good. So Barry,
Great.
can you just tell us a little bit about you?
Where would you like me to start and how long do you have? Essentially, Sarah started in the footwear industry about 14, 15 years ago, and 2 years ago decided to launch a wholesale platform called ShoeCircle. And that's been really exciting because we've just hit our 200th retailer on board, and it's a lovely little portal which allows wholesalers and retailers to view each other's stock. So that's been very, very exciting. A little bit daunting at the beginning, but once you get running, it's pretty cool because you start to inspire the industry and really change things around. Yeah. So that's been really exciting. Yeah.
Lovely. And
yes.
So, Barry, how did you know you wanted to get into the line of work that you're doing? Did something happen to steer you into assisting people to live their truth?
It's funny you use the word steer because it's quite fitting. It would have been about 18 months ago. I was early for an appointment and I received a phone call by my customer, and he said, "Barry, I'm a bit late. Can you delay the appointment for an hour?" And I said, "Oh, great. Okay. So I've got to find an hour to kind of kill here." So for some strange cosmic universal reason, my car steered itself into the most beautiful cemetery that I've ever seen. I've often passed this cemetery, but I've never gone inside because I don't actually know anyone who's buried there. Yeah. And as I pulled over the car in the most beautiful part, I just got out and started to walk around these beautiful grave tombs, and you start reading with people, past lives, people that have lived, and the two most common words, as we all know, is born and died. And you'd look at the dates, and some people died quite young, and some people were in the 70s and 80s. And it was lovely to see families were also buried together. And although I didn't know these people, I just sat down. I actually leant against my car and I closed my eyes for a few seconds. And this is going to sound strange. Maybe not in your line of work, Sarah.
Not too well.
But for me, I closed my eyes for a few seconds and I felt these 3 words resonate with me. It was as if all of the people that were buried there all united in one voice. And if they could put across these 3 words, I felt these 3 words resonate. And those 3 words were live your life. And at the time, I didn't understand what that meant. I mean, I was living my life. I was doing everything that I thought was right. And that resonated. It stayed with me for a few days, and I just didn't understand what that actually meant. And then one night, I woke up about 3 in the morning, and the word your was capitalized in my head, as if to say, live your life. Don't. Before you know it, you'll be with us in these beautiful grounds. Go out there and live whatever you want to do and inspire others to do the same.
Yeah.
So at that moment, an epiphany kind of happened to me, and I wanted to share inspiration with everyone who is at the precipice or at the edge of living their personal truth. And hence other things have happened since, which obviously you know about, Sarah, and it's been so exciting watching other people being affected by that little scenario that I've just mentioned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you've written a book, The 11 Master Secrets, which we can see behind you, which is awesome.
Thank you. We're very happy with it.
Yeah. And so that book has hit international bestseller. That is just amazing. You must be really pleased with that.
It's been surreal, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I guess the most surreal part of it is it's really cool being able to touch lives. I mean, you see it, Sarah, in what you do every day. But the great thing is you're touching lives all over the world, and people that you might not have met yet, and you'll have these inspirational. We've already had a few emails come back say, Barry, I'm changing my life because of this book. And nothing beats that feeling. It's just an incredible... my publisher rang me and he said, Barry, you're sitting down. I says, why? And he says, well, you're number 1 in 6 countries and in 16 categories. And I said, John, stop making fun of me. It was quite funny, but the book is a great read. It's actually only a 100-page read. I wanted to make it short and sweet. I don't want you to lose heart in 3 or 4 weeks' time as you're still reading it. So the great thing about it, you can read it over a weekend and start to do things immediately to have an impact on the life that you really want to live.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And so you write about the disasters of your first public speaking event. What happened?
Oh, no. Well,
I haven't been there yet.
I'll tell you, we'll have to catch up and I'll give you a more detailed version. But the quick version is essentially I had my first speaking event in Sydney, and I had been promised 170 people in this room. And the organisers rang me and said, Barry, we're going to have extra seats because the room only takes 150. So I geared up, I was all pumped and ready to inspire people. And 5 minutes before my stage time presentation, I wander into the hall, and I thought I must have been in the wrong place because there was one person, one man sitting in the sea of seats eating his yogurt. I think it was strawberry and blueberry flavour. I don't know why I know that. I just focused on his yogurt. And he was really into eating his yogurt. And I thought, no, I must be in the wrong place. And I looked up and I said, that's my name. And so I thought, wow, one man sitting here watching me. So I had, it was just frustrating, and I got angry, and I got perplexed. Why did this have to happen to me? How can I only inspire one person? And then something hit me, call it a wave of calmness. I looked at the one man and I thought, you know what, Barry? If you can inspire Yogurt Man, and I've called him Yogurt Man ever since, you can inspire him to live the life he wants to live, and maybe even buy the yogurt company if that's what he wants to do. I said that's where it all starts, and there's a chapter at the beginning of the book about how embarrassed I was.
Yeah.
So I started speaking to Yogurt Man at the beginning of the presentation, and at the end, I think I was speaking for about an hour on that day. At the end of the presentation, I had 117 people sitting in the audience.
Wow.
Which kind of Murphy's Law decided to show up at the beginning. And I knew that if I walked away with the one person, I wouldn't have inspired the 120 odd that were there afterwards. So the lesson for me in that was, the beginning never ever looks like the end. It only looks like the end if you give up midway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the universe was saying, well, Barry, let's see how bad you want this. We're going to give you one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that always happens. Exactly.
Yes, it was crazy story.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in the book, you speak a great deal about inherited thinking. What is inherited thinking?
It's fascinating, actually, because the way inherited thinking works and what it is, we've got relatives that have lived on this earth. We've got great-grandparents and grandparents and parents. And what inherited thinking generally is, it's good thinking practices that get passed down from generation to generation, and we pass it on to our children as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a lot of inherited thinking because it surrounds good thinking practices. It surrounds valuing people, being honest to yourself, being honest to people, loving everyone. If they have a reason to do you wrong, then all right, you'll assess that when the time comes, but you come from a place of love and understanding, a place of honesty, and that's what kind of guides our lives, right? But what we don't know and what seeps under the radar with inherited thinking is the fears that our great-grandparents and parents and the personal doubt that our parents have had, that we kind of subconsciously pass on to our young. And they have their own lives to live, but we pass on all of our fears and all of our doubts and all of our reservations about life based on our own experience, when sometimes our children can have very, very different views on their own life and what experiences they want to have. So what that can do is kind of close in the experiences that we're actually limiting them from having those experiences, which they will need for growth themselves. So it's a double-edged sword in a way. We actually give them all the good stuff, but unknowingly we kind of say, well, here's the good stuff. Oh, but be careful tonight, or don't do that there, or take it from my experience, you'll do that and you'll fail. When really we don't know. All we're saying is we failed at it at some point and we've probably moved on from it. But we don't want our children and our children's children to make the same mistakes, when sometimes they need that for their growth. And sometimes telling them, oh, we've had this experience, guys, don't make the mistake, sometimes stops them from growing. So that's what inherited thinking does. I don't think we should stop inherited thinking. I think that we should be observers to it. So if someone comes along and says, oh, Dad, what do you think? Should I do this? Or I'll say, well, my experience was that, but you might have something very different happen to you. And that way, that child or that person leaves with a balanced view, rather than imposing our thoughts and our, I hate the word dogma. Yeah, absolutely. But our own, and we do it subconsciously. We don't do it consciously.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned the Chinese bamboo tree analogy in your book. Can you explain?
I've got one here. Look, this is my Chinese tree.
That's funny.
I'll hold it here like this, so when we talk, you can see it. Yes, the Chinese bamboo tree analogy is really, really cool. And if you do a little bit of research into it, I was blown away. I often look at dreams and visions like the Chinese bamboo tree, because if we end up planting a Chinese bamboo tree in the ground, and we water it and nurture it, it takes 5 years before it breaks the level of the actual soil. So while other trees around it that are planted at the same time start to sprout and grow, the Chinese bamboo tree is non-existent. You're actually watering the soil. It just looks like you're watering the ground, but really the bamboo, the seed itself is quite a hard nut. Okay. So in its fifth year, as it breaks the soil level, if it survives, it grows 30 feet tall in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable. So where other trees are kind of doing their own thing, this thing, and you've got to wonder, what is it doing under the surface of the soil for 5 years, right? And I keep drawing the analogy to following your dreams and following your visions. Yeah. It's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes you look like you're going to be watering the ground. Your journey with spiritual events, you've come so far from the beginning. And you're now kind of seeing people and all the fruits of your labour. But what people should realise is all the hard work that goes into following a passion, which obviously you're doing and I'm trying to do. It's just super exciting. And the bamboo analogy is what I keep thinking about. with ShoeCircle. It's his second year of trade. And I think, Barry, I'm still watering the ground. Like, that's okay, because the seed is finding its water pockets, its nutrients, it's finding how to establish itself, which is what it's doing under the ground. So it's really exciting looking at nature and then looking at ourselves and the correlation between the two. If we're keen observers on life, the correlation between how nature grows and how we want more for ourselves is just uncanny.
Yeah.
So, yes, exciting.
That is.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's just like, wow, 6 weeks.
6 weeks and 30
That might be overnight
days.
success, isn't it?
Well, see, that's the question. Is it a 5-year process, or is it a
Exactly
6-week process? People will argue, well, Barry, it's 6 weeks, but it's a 5-year process. You know? So,
totally agree. Okay, so you speak about people who just want to be happy. What are the 2 types of happiness, and how can we do anything better to reach that? How can we reach that?
This is really exciting, because this will give people a lot of clarity, right? Like, the 2 types of happiness, and there are only 2 types in the whole world, despite what everyone else tells you. There's circumstantial happiness. Now, circumstantial happiness is being happy when all the conditions are kind of right for us. If we go to a wedding, if we go to a Christmas party, a birthday, an anniversary, if you love to sing the Thank God It's Friday song every week, that could be viewed as circumstantial happiness, right? So, oh my God, this feels great, the weekend's here. But the other type of happiness that we should be moving into is an area called intentional happiness. Now, intentional happiness is actually being happy when Murphy's Law does show up and decide to look at it quite differently and go, you know what, this is only a temporary setback, because then you'll be happy at the circumstantial side anyway. Yeah. You won't just be happy at the times when, the times that we should be happy, right? Like barbecues and everyone's getting together and everyone's having a good time. So we should be moving from circumstantial happiness to intentional. And the funny thing is, when you move to intentional happiness, any situation in your life that goes against your intentional happiness doesn't seem like such a big deal. Whereas if you're only living in circumstantial happiness, you're riding a roller coaster of emotions. You're up and then you're down and then you're up, which is why people sing the Thank God It's Friday song, because obviously we want to wait till the good times, or until this week and until tonight. And the problem with that, obviously, is that we keep living in the future and we don't live in today. Yeah. So they're the 2 types of happiness. I'd like people to actually move from circumstantial over to intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways that you can do that, isn't there? Like, how do you do that yourself? Like,
you know what? There's a word, Sarah, and you would know it in spades, and the word is gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah.
Everyone talks about gratitude, but it is so powerful, right? So every time you get yourself down, or you want to know how to move from, say, circumstantial happiness to intentional happiness, think of all the things in life that you're truly grateful for. You got 2 healthy, beautiful children. You live in a beautiful home. You've got food in your fridge. But even going smaller than that, even going, I've got hair on my head, I've got beautiful eyes, I've got beautiful skin, I've got nice friends, all my internal organs are operating as they should be. I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes. Yeah. I can walk. I don't need a wheelchair. And all these areas that we should be truly, truly grateful for, and go internally and realize how lucky we really are as people, with our friendships, with our businesses, and in Australia, how lucky we are to live here. Yeah. Then we can truly realize that, well, who cares about circumstantial happiness? That's going to happen anyway. Exactly. The birthday's going to come, right? Yeah, that's right. Let's move over into intentional and use gratitude as the vehicle to get there. Exactly. So that is my vehicle. I hop in it, I close the doors, I put the window up, and I just go inside and I think, Barry, what are we grateful for today? And the list, when you start, actually ends up being endless, because there are so many people in the world that don't have half what we have and then still don't complain about it. Yeah. So how lucky are we?
Exactly. I totally agree. Totally agree. There's a section in your book which you speak about culling people from your life. Is this something you feel keeps you elevated?
It sounds, on the surface of it, it sounds a little bit horrid. Start culling people, you should accept, right? I think of it, let's say your goal in life is to earn a lot of money. Let's just say some people have that as their goal, right?
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with 5 broke people or 5 people that don't have good money management skills, I can guarantee you'll be the 6th out of those 5, right? Mm-hmm. So when I say cull the people, you become the average of the top 5 people in your life. So if those top 5 people are elevating you every day and let you know that things are possible, your dreams are indeed possible, then you'll naturally lift. But if you've got 3 or 4 toxic people and then 1 positive, well, then the balance is out of whack. And when you leave those 5 people, you'll feel quite drained. And that, oh, well, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be going for this. I mean, who am I to go for my dreams? I mean, haven't I got enough already? Why should I want more for my life? Which is the trap that a lot of people fall into. So that's probably the best way to explain it. I don't suggest calling up all your friends that you're toxic with and go, see you later.
And you're like, I got no one. Family out the door.
Yes, well, family, right? I mean, we love our family, but wow, we've got tolerance sometimes for them, don't we?
Yeah.
And then for us as well, I should say. But I just, I start to make moves and I slowly gravitate towards people that can encourage me to take small risks and that can pick me up when I'm feeling low, or that can make me feel good when I am, when I've made a mistake. And just tell me, Barry, you know what, it's temporary, you'll bounce back from this. And I pull from that energy and then I shoot up. Yeah. But if I'm around the wrong type of person and I stuff up, which I've done a million times, by the way, then what the conversation is very much along the lines of, well, I told you you'd fail. Yeah, and then that becomes a very vicious circle because then you almost get absorbed into their negative paradigms and thinking as well. And then unfortunately, that's what ends up happening. So choose love, don't choose fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's the most common question you've been asked when following passions?
When is it going to happen for me?
Yeah.
And there's no answer to it because I don't know. I don't even know it for myself. All I know actually was Oprah Winfrey. I heard her say once, she said to me, you're not going to see the whole road ahead, right? But just take the next small step that's indicated. And then that'll lead to another small step and then that'll lead to another small step. But we can't see the future. So when people say, well, Barry, I want to become a violinist, and we talk about that in the book. We're not going to know when Rosie is going to become a violinist. It depends how dedicated and how committed Rosie is to becoming that.
Exactly. So
it's a bit of a silly question to ask because it can happen for you next week or it can happen for you in 2000 and whatever. It depends how focused you are and how committed you are to just relentlessly chasing this vision to achieving what you want in life.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most common question, and I don't have an easy answer. So I usually sit down with that person and we have a chat about how serious they are in following what they love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
yes. And then, as you were saying before about the universe, like the things popping up, like the one person there, it was like to see how passionate you are about what you want to do, and it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think, the difference between people reaching their dreams, Sarah, and the people that end up saying it didn't happen for me, I think the difference is the commitment level to how bad you want it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's how bad, and eventually the universe will get sick of dancing with you and it'll give you what you want.
Exactly.
This person's too hard. He always keeps bouncing back, or she always keeps bouncing back. Let's move on to someone else that's easier to look around.
So, I hadn't thought of it that way. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So yes, it's exciting.
And you speak about personal doubt and failure in your book and why it holds so many people back from living the future they want. Can this be reversed?
You know what? It depends, and it's a combination of inherited thinking. It's also a combination of how you feel towards yourself. I mean, the problem with a lot of us, and I shouldn't use the word problem, the challenge with most of us is that we're thinking the same way for so long that anything foreign to that, or a positive person or something that happens, we actually dismiss as being rubbish. And we think, well, that doesn't exist because they're not living in the real world. Well, it's part true because they're not living in your real world, but they're living in their real world,
Exactly.
which is great. And they're designing a life that they want to live. So at the end of the day, it can be reversed. But like I said, you've got to really be monitoring that inherited thinking conversation. And at the same time, looking at who's in your life and what you watch on television, and obviously what you expose your mind to, because you can't constantly keep elevated if we've got negative influences kind of unconsciously surrounding us, because for some people the world is a fearful place. And as you view more fear, well, it just keeps reaffirming that it's a fearful place. So you think to yourself, well, it's very hard to break someone like that out of apathy, out of their own version of purgatory in a way, because it's quite difficult, but not impossible if they get exposed to what Sarah Watkins does, for example.
Thank you. What I've found is it generally takes like a massive challenge in somebody's life, and that's the catalyst for change. Yeah. And that's why so many people are starting to awaken and change their thought patterns and things like that, because something's happened. That's from my experience in my business.
Okay. Hopefully it doesn't take a cataclysmic event to shift us. But it's funny, sometimes the universe does give us a shove rather than a little gentle push. And you know what, Sarah, it's probably the most common example of people changing their lives. Usually it's an illness or something that happens, a divorce or something kind of big, like a huge impact that goes, you know what, I need to change.
Exactly.
I need to smell the roses and I need to do what I love, you know? So it's exciting in that sense, but you're spot on.
So how can people buy your book?
Oh, well, you know what? Amazon, we've done a little special for everyone today. And because we've hit number one on Amazon, we have reduced the price again down to $1. So 99 cents. Actually, so it's pretty cool. So 99 cents for today. I think it goes up tomorrow. My publisher doesn't like to keep it at 99 cents forever, but obviously being on your show today, Sarah, I decided that it's probably the right thing to do. And I want everyone to just grab this book and read it and start to change their lives. The 11 Master Secrets are not secrets at all, actually. If you really want to know, the 11 main blockages which stop us from living the future that we want. Murphy's Laws is in there. Finding your place of inspiration. Mine was the graveyard, as weird as that sounds. You might find a line in the book that just resonates with you. And you might go, you know what, that's what I needed to read to make the move. So for 99 cents today, it is yours and your listeners. And if you want to hop on Amazon, you're more than welcome to buy it. If you can, please leave a great review on it. We've already had about 4 or 5 5-star reviews, which is what got it to number one. So it's exciting.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been fun.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Take care.